Welcome back to today's THV at 6. And as promised, Republican Congressman Tim Griffin joining me now. And the Congressman is in town for many events, and he's taken time out of his schedule to visit with us and answer a few of your questions. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate your time. Let's get started. One of the topics we're talking about today is a potential cap on campaign spending. There is no cap right now in this presidential race. We're hearing astronomical numbers. Would you support a cap?
No, would not support a cap. There is currently a cap on how much you can give, but if you put a cap on how much someone can raise, then you're basically saying to the person who has a lot of support, who a lot of people are giving money to, that you can raise the same as someone who doesn't have much support. For example, if someone could raise $1 million because donors support them, but you say, no, you can only go to 100, well, a lot of people may be able to raise that. You're putting people at a disadvantage that a lot of other people want to give to. I think the key with contributions is transparency, just making sure that the individuals who are giving are reported publicly and so people can research it.
Now, a proposed move to put a new VA day center is opposed by Little Rock's mayor, but you toured this proposed facility, and what are your thoughts on this move?
I proposed the current center to look at the space that they have. And what I have been asked by constituents on both sides to act, and I think my first impression, and the facts have continued to bear it out, is that there was really a missed opportunity to communicate. I wish that the federal government would have had more dialogue with the mayor and city officials, particularly the homeless coordinator for the city. This is not something I would normally be involved in, this type of decision, but the mayor and some others asked me to help out, so I'm helping get the facts.
Now, one of our viewers, Robert, asked this. You're a co-sponsor of a controversial Stop Online Piracy Act. It's known as SOPA, and this bill is getting a lot of criticism from online advocacy groups, calling it a threat to freedom of speech and open to widespread abuse in its attempt to stop online piracy. How do you respond to this?
Sure. This is intended to keep particularly foreign websites from stealing intellectual property, movies, music, that is coming from the United States, represents a lot of jobs. This is a work in progress. There's something called our manager's amendment that the chairman of the Judiciary Committee has put together. He met with a lot of the stakeholders. There's going to be some revisions to this. I think there's a lot of misinformation, but there are also some legitimate areas where we need to make some changes, and the manager's amendment does that. In fact, I met with someone in Conway with a startup company this afternoon, internet startup company, to discuss this. But there'll be some further changes, and I think we'll get it to where there'll be a lot of support for it.
We want to take another question from one of our viewers, Erin, and this came via Facebook, and she asked, with all of our troops coming back home, I was wondering how prepared are we to accommodate their needs, such as mental health, jobs, housing, anything else they need. We saw this in the form recently of the house fire in Faulkner County with the murder-suicide. It was because her son had died in Iraq. She was a family member who had not gotten proper. What do you say to this?
Well, yeah, she was the grandmother, is my understanding. I don't know all the facts there. I was in Conway today, and I was told that soldier did die overseas, but that it was not combat related. I don't know all the facts there. As soldiers come back and they are still in the military, which most of the folks that come back don't come back and get out. They come back. Then all of those services are made available through the military. So if you're for example, at Little Rock Air Force Base, or if you're at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, when you come back, those services are there.
Do you think the services are sufficient?
Well, I was going to say, it's not perfect. I can tell you that over the last, and look, there's always room to improve. Always room to improve, whether you're talking about the VA or anything else. But I can tell you that there's been a concerted effort over the last 5 to 7 years to really address PTSD, increase in suicides. We get suicide. I'm still in the Army Reserve, and we continue to get suicide briefings for educational purposes. But there is always more we could do, and the military needs to always be improving, and we're pushing them to do that. But that is a big concern, that folks don't come back home and have needs that aren't attended to.
We do appreciate your time, Congressman Tim Griffin.
Sure.
Thank you so much for coming in tonight. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And we'll be right back.